Travis Wayne Goodsill. At 8:09 this morning, we had a power glitch. Shut off the internet, shut off our power, shut off my laundry, and shut off my video that I was making. And the video is unrecoverable, so I have to redo it. Thought you were withdrawing, Putin. So obviously some stuff are going to be different, but you'll never know. In August 1990, there was what was called the Gulf War. In the United States, it was called a conflict. Because Congress did not declare war. This was another example of the presidency in the United States adding powers to themselves and taking away the powers of Congress, to bypass Congress and to bypass the red tape of Congress. And so as we are on the verge of World War III, you can expect Congress with Manchin and Sinema to refuse to declare war. And as a result, Biden will be left to decide whether he's going to continue the pattern of usurping the congressional powers, as the United States would be the only nation involved not in a war but a conflict. But we withdrew from Afghanistan, and so the powers that be want the war machine going up again. And so here we are. They have to have war because that's how they profit off of it's war profiteering. But nonetheless, you've already got new information as I'm trying to figure out how to get back to what I was doing here. But with that Gulf War, you had the Gulf War syndrome that the X-Files picked up on. Poppy Bush was the one who bypassed Congress to be involved in that. And during that time, I tell this story first. So now my timing for the laundry is screwed up. And so in 1990, I was serving my Mormon New York mission. And my companion and I were serving in Connecticut at the time. And the morning when war broke out, we were at one of the Mormons' homes visiting. He may have even been the ward mission leader. I don't remember. But regardless, we were at his home visiting him. And it's not a home, it's a mansion palace estate out there in Connecticut. We were given a tour of the house and then of the backyard, where he had a tennis court, other stuff out there. And while we were getting the tour, he gets a phone call And I'm not sure what he did for a living, but it involves stocks. Because the phone call was from an employee who was freaking out and wondering if this was Armageddon and if they should sell all the company's stocks. And he's loud enough on the phone to allow us to hear what's going on. As he says, it's not Armageddon, don't sell anything, stay calm, everything's fine. If you know about scriptural prophecy, you will know this is not it. And so he was able to calm the guy down and get back to us. And he then says, you guys want to be rich? Read the Book of Mormon. Everyone who reads the Book of Mormon can become filthy rich like me. That's the secret to becoming rich. It's in the Book of Mormon. It's a sacred secret. And that came to mind today as CNN reported about it should be about 8:50-ish. I need to go check the laundry, I guess. CNN reported today that Putin is withdrawing his troops, and the stock market responded by buying stocks. It's rising again. Isn't that great? It's a trap, guys. See, a year or two ago, Putin did the same thing. He brought his troops to the border of Ukraine, and the world threw a stink. And Putin backed off a little bit, and he brought him right back. But it was a small amount, not a declaration of war. He was taunting people to see what he can get away with. And so it would have been under Biden, so it would have been last year. And so here he is again, but this time we gave him an inch, he's now taking us a mile. And so again he's saying, oh yeah, I'll withdraw. Oh yeah, I'll consider diplomatic negotiations for peace. He's already told us he won't. And so CNN either are suckers and losers who are falling for this con. They're a news story. They're supposed to have the previous news stories that they themselves covered on this. And yet, apparently, the people that work for them that are supposed to do all these historical checking to make sure that they don't say something stupid failed their job. I guess CNN's having lots of problems these days. But or they're purposely misleading their audience, which there's a history of that in America and in American news, all different stations. Because not only is Putin trying to pull a fast one over everybody, he's not going to back down, come back later. That's a sign of weakness. And he's demonstrated that he will pretend to look weak and then come back more forcefully. But the other con is with the stocks. We keep getting fooled into thinking by the news that the stock market is the economy. And it's not. It's the rich man's gambling casino. Because when stocks go up, I'm not feeling it. It's not trickling down to me. And so, yeah, it has no effect on the economy on the ground, on the front lines. It's all for the rich. But the rich have no problem punishing the economy when they sell stocks. Oh, we've had to sell our stocks. We're going to have to raise prices, produce cheaper quality products that will cause you to buy replacements or pay for repairs, and we're going to pay our employees less money because we're hurting. Yeah, that's the only time when it affects the economy, is when the stocks go down. And so, yeah, yesterday we saw the stocks go down because, oh, war's coming, it's coming, any time now, any day now, oh no, here we go, sell stocks. All they're doing is selling unfriendly war stocks. And so today, they're now buying friendly war stocks. CNN should have checked for this. They didn't. And so they're either ignorant, making themselves look like fools, or they're trying to fool you, their audience. We saw this in the beginning of 2020, and I told you then too, and the church made $6 billion that first year as the rest of the nation suffered. And then this year, yesterday, the church has been reported of making $4 billion for last year, 2021. This is what's done. And I told you the church would do it, and they did it, and you don't listen, you don't believe me. So, okay, so now we can go on to the patriarch. Back in 2017, I did a lecture at my local stake center, which, thanks to another Mormon, involved scandal controversy that everybody's freaking out about, and got the bishop involved. But it was on Revelation chapter 12, Sign in the Heaven, on 23rd September 2017. And during that lecture, which was packed thanks to that controversial Mormon, there were members who were clueless that there's this thing called astronomy. They had no comprehension of how the field of astronomy works. I guess you guys don't learn it here in Utah's public school systems. I had it. We had a semester course on it 1 year, where we had to learn about our Earth and the solar system and the galaxy, names of the planets. Pluto was still a planet back then. And so I'm kind of confused how Mormons are confused about astronomy. What happened here in Utah? But nonetheless, there was another Mormon who came prepared. He done his research and referred to the Catholic Church to explain the passage. Oh my God! So his argument was that there's already originally 12 stars in the constellation of Leo, not 9 as designated by the ancients. And so he's still trying to debunk the idea that Revelation 12 is giving us a precise date, especially for 23rd September 2017, which even China knew because they made t-shirts. I bought one of them. I had my picture taken specifically because of it. But nonetheless, that's where the story I tell about the Elders Quorum instructor one day a week before the solar eclipse on 21st of August 2017, he was going, I didn't realize this thing called astronomy. I thought Travis was lying to us. Do you see what I have to work with? And so, yeah. But the other thing was one day after church, see, the priesthood, still had the high priest group that hadn't been shut down yet. And we had gotten out, and elders and the high priests, they get out early. The Relay Society, however, gets out late. Standard, consistent, every single week. So he and I were waiting for our wives, as I was married at the time, to get out of Relay Society, standing next to each other, and he breaks the silence by starting up a conversation saying, in my day, we had Mormons who believed that it was the end of the world. You know, and World War II comes along, and other Bay of Pigs and other stuff, and nothing ever happened, and it's not going to happen until, you know, our generations after us. And don't need to worry about it. He's a patriarch. Do you know the office of a patriarch? What he is and what he does? He gives kids, children mostly, their patriarchal blessings, which is a prophecy about their future. Not only designating the house of Israel that they belong to, but also sometimes they'll include their premortal activities, and special powers are given to Mormons. And so, yeah, this is a big thing in Mormonism, as lately Mormons are kind of, my patriarchal blessing didn't come true. And then you get the Mormon debate, well, you don't have faith, that's why. See, for example, in mine, there's the comment about my parents who have raised me will feel blessed for raising such a fine young man, something like that. Well, they sent me up the river, and my mom's now dead, going to her grave without feeling blessed for having raised such a fine young man. She still believed that I was lost and fallen and needed to be recovered. So that wasn't fulfilled, now was it? And my dad didn't even bother to notify me that my mom is dead. So you can clearly see he doesn't feel blessed and rewarded for having raised such a fine young man. And so, you know, big controversy there. And so even prophecies are given about the latter days, because we're Latter-day Saints. It's got to happen some century. Can't keep going on forever. And and it was shocking to me to hear a patriarch who I'm now wondering, do you even talk about the latter days with the kids that you give patriarchal blessings to? Because in my mom's day, my mom talked about dating several guys who claimed that their patriarchal blessings said they were going to be the president of the church one day through their faithfulness. And none of them became the president of the church. But it's just shocking that Mormons have given up hope on the latter days ever happening. And here we are. It's going on. We're about to enter into the war. And Mormons are like, I wonder when he comes again. Will it be my children's generation or my grandchildren's generation or their children and grandchildren's generation? It's never coming. And the biggest problem that Mormons have is that the church are keeping secrets from us. They just read from scriptures and say, oh, this is going to happen, but they never give us dates. They never give us specific details of what we must do. They just say, follow us, obey us, be prepared. That's general. Everybody's supposed to do that throughout all existence. That's your normal living. But you're not supposed to follow somebody in blindness. There are no dates given by our prophets. Now, I can understand they may be afraid to do so because they could be wrong. The prophets don't want to appear to Mormons as wrong. That wouldn't be good. They claim to get information directly from Jesus. And so if they're wrong, that means Jesus is wrong, and Jesus isn't supposed to be wrong. It's not, Jesus would never be racist, sexist, and bigoted and then overturn it with another prophet sometime. No, he's consistent. He's not a racist, and so he would never be racist, despite Brigham Young saying he was a racist. Kimball coming out, being forced by the United States to allow blacks into the priesthood and in the temples, so that the Congress would override, reverse the Edmunds-Tucker Act. Yeah, that should have been a big clue to Mormons that the church isn't true, but there's other clues that Mormons have missed regarding that as well. So Amos 3:7, and it's incorrectly translated, but we all understand it. Surely the Lord God will do nothing save he shall revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. Revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. And the context is that there are those who warn of danger. There are certain things in place that we, the people, may know that danger is coming. And prophets are supposed to be in their position to warn the membership. They're not supposed to keep it a secret from us. They're not supposed to be general and say, just trust in the Lord. Jesus will heal you. Or make it so that Mormons have the burden of figuring it all out for themselves. We all know the tragedy of that one, don't we? So Monson came out 2015 after 3 prophets die to assure Mormons these are not the latter days. You're supposed to generally prepare. And so, yeah, a couple of dumbass Mormons who think that they can commit crimes atrocious crimes to show the prophets that they know better, but at the same time they're just as bad as the prophets. So it's not a matter of not knowing better, it's going astray with the prophets. But that's the whole point, is Mormons don't learn from the lessons of the Book of Mormon about King Noah and other antichrists, false prophets who deceive the membership. Because King Noah was wicked and made everybody wicked who worked around him to support him in his wickedness, rather than having somebody who complains all the time, "You're not supposed to do that. No, you can't use nukes on American soil. You can't bring the military here." Stuff like that. So they have to get people who are loyal to him and thus compromise them by getting them wicked with him, so that they can go out on TV and say, "Everybody's doing it. You're wicked too. Do you drink alcohol? I love alcohol. I drink a lot of alcohol. Boys like alcohol. Girls like alcohol. Squeegee and Fuzznuts says, or was with me playing pool." I botched that SNL skit too. That's right, you missed an SNL thing I pulled in the other one. Oh well, I got another version for you in this one. and so, when Nelson gets up at a solemn assembly and says, "A temple in a major city yet to be determined in Russia," he's not saying that the Battle of Magog is coming up in a few years. All he's saying is a major city yet to be determined in Russia. That's it, that's all. And Mormons would have to then speculate, add to his words, to draw the connection that Magog is coming. And so back then, none of us knew that. None of us weren't making those connections. Not even me. But I was concerned that he's working with our enemy. I knew about Putin. I knew about his danger. And there he was. Okay. I might need to check the laundry now. And so, let's put a note of where I stopped talking and where I need to continue talking. Temple, Russia. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so then in last October's conference, Nelson comes out, sends me a death threat, but he also talked about these are the latter days. But that's it. Just a general indicator. It's now here. This is it. But no disclosing of signs in the heavens, no disclosing of events on earth and signs on earth. Nothing. Again, Mormons are left to speculate as to what it is he's saying to us. We're clueless. And if you remember, in the October 2019 General Conference, he tells us that the whole year of 2020 was going to be all about the bicentennial year of the first vision, of Amen, Christ. because that's the name of his church. Amen, Christ. And the symbol of Amen, Christ is the symbol for the church. Right? Remember that in April 2020 conference? That was part of what he had planned, but it was sort of ruined by some other event that dominated the news all around the world, of which he did not warn us in advance, where he had secret communications with China that he disclosed with us later. But again, didn't warn us, didn't give us instructions as to what to do. He's a medical doctor even. And I talked to China, I gave them what they wanted. And oh, by the way, this conference we're announcing a temple in Shanghai. So again, Mormons are left to speculate. But he said in that October 2019 conference that the April 2020 conference and next year is going to be something we will never forget. And so in his opening remarks, that conference in April 2020, he says, I said that this would be a conference you'd never forget, and sure enough, little did I know. And Mormons flood the internet. Nelson predicted it! Nelson predicted it! He's a true prophet of God! They had to add to his words because the prophets aren't. They're not telling us. They're not prophesying. They're not revealing. They're not acting as seers. They just lie to us about church history. They will not tell us the truth. They will not make corrections. They will not correctly translate the Bible even. We're studying Old Testament and still have the incorrect translations of the Bible. And so you guys aren't getting taught correctly. You're being misinformed and disinformed by prophets of Jesus. Right? I mean, amen. And you still cling to them as if they're the true prophets. Do you understand a con man when he appears to you? Oh, if Lucifer appeared to me, I'd know him. If a false Christ and a false prophet appeared to me, I'd know them. They wouldn't deceive me. Are you sure about that? So, the moral of the story is prophets are not supposed to keep sacred secrets from you. They're not military strategists for war. That you do have to keep secret. Because you don't want your enemy to know your plans. And you purposely want to deceive your enemy in war by making them think you're withdrawing when you've got ulterior motives to fool people. So, who are you going to follow, Mormons? Are you going to continue to follow Nelson? Are you going to continue to trust in his God? Do you not understand the scripture that says, by their fruits ye shall know them? It's by their fruits you will know them so that you won't be deceived. What are Nelson's fruits of being a prophet? None. What are his fruits of being a seer? He lies and deceives about church history, what he's currently up to, and what he's plotting for the future. See, again, Nelson comes out and calls missionaries home or to other areas. The temple in Kiev is shut down. Nelson does that first, before ever the news is hyping up the war in Iraq, or the war in Ukraine, not the Gulf War. And yet Mormons are left to again speculate. This is where I thrive doing videos, because I put in those speculations that you are all thinking of for my thumbnails and the titles. And the difference is that I know in advance what they're up to. Ta-da! There it is. The war in Ukraine, right here. And the church already knew it, and I found out about it. I leaked it to you, and the prophets destroyed me. I was going, oh, Putin, you just told CNN you were withdrawing, and you cut our power today? Right after that news? Come on, Putin. But, yeah, it's horrifying to witness Mormons who follow the Kool-Aid man, if you understand Jim Jones, and refuse to seek first somebody who's going to tell them the truth, who has got the fruits of prophet, seer, revelator, signs in the heavens, and translator. Yeah, Joseph Smith was a translator. He restored translation. Where is it? We got Nelson talking about chief cornerstone of the cornerstone rather than cornerstone and capstone, and Israel rather than being Yah, Prince of God, to be the mortal Christ of Mormonism of the latter days through his lineage rather than his brother Esau's, because he usurped the birthright and blessing from his brother, so that the seed of Messiah no longer goes through Esau, it goes through Jacob. New name Israel. And instead he says, let God prevail. Oh my God. That's the white supremacist interpretation. And you're up there at the pulpit of conference, and you're saying that you're not a translator. You had to refer to Hebrew scholars at BYU, and they gave you that to deflect? You've already ruined it by saying you had to go to translators because you're not a translator. I mean, yeah, that's great. You know modern languages, Chinese even. Wow. But you don't know the ancient languages. You're supposed to have the scriptures restored. You're not doing that. You've got no fruit. You've got no fruit of translator. And then after I do the video condemning you for your mistranslation, you then come out with a church news release referring to it, taking out the Hebrew scholars, and referring to our footnotes in the scriptures from, it would have been the 1979 edition of the Bible with the Topical Guide Bible Dictionary. And so then I have to do another video to correct you on how those were developed and all the errors that are in them, because I was involved in the project to restore them for the 2009 Spanish editions with a guide to the scriptures to replace the Topical Guide and Bible Dictionary. So, yeah, it's horrifying to witness Mormons who would rather follow a false Christ, a false prophet, a false teacher, don't see how that gives them any comfort, because he's putting your lives in danger. He's hurting you, harming you, getting you to commit crimes on his behalf. Like YouTube. They've escalated now. I'm seeing tampering on my internet. This is what happens before they shut me down. It's coming. They're pissed. And I don't understand why you'd rather live in wickedness and suffer than seek for truth. Why won't you learn what a creed is and what the first one is? Instead, we all go on our missions and we say, oh yeah, Jesus appeared to Joseph Smith. And you don't think of the consequences of what you just said. We're Christian too, just like you, but you have to join our church because your baptism isn't authorized. Like the bishop, is it St. Louis? There's a bishop in America who's quit because he, for 20 years now, has been doing his baptisms or whatever, taking or changing or getting wrong one word. And so everybody's concerned, oh no, are our baptisms or rituals or whatever it was he was screwing up, are they not valid? Are we going to burn in hell? Don't worry, it's not the true church. You're okay. You can breathe. But it's the same with Mormons. We're not authorized. Brigham Young wasn't authorized. He's not the successor. Wikipedia lies. He is not the second president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's the first. That's not Joseph's church. It was the Church of Amen Christ. We're not Christian. So, but there you go. Mormons want prophets who keep secrets from them rather than prophets who give them dates, star dates, for when things are going to happen, to inform them of what they need to do to be prepared and ready, and what they need to do to be safe and protected. You know, are you looking for somebody who's doing that, or are you just trusting in your own wisdom? Or are you remaining blinded in the church? By their fruits you shall know them. Are you looking for them? Because he's about to be murdered by you. You can't sit on the fence on this. You have to choose whether you're going to belong to the great and abominable church, or whether you're going to belong to the Church of the Lamb. If you want nothing to do with both of them, fine. But you can't stick with the great and abominable church and call it the Church of the Lamb. You're deceiving yourself, you're lying to others. Because the facts and the evidence are that this church is not true. And you're hurting only yourselves and others as following the example of your leader. Those whom you follow are the ones that are your God, and you are like them. Alrighty. So one more additional thing to throw at you. Adam on Diamond. That's part of in the book. That's the whole thing. Is that Mormons have built this traditional belief that the prophets are going to have the secret priesthood meeting in Adam-on-Diamond, and only the chosen ones will be given a missionary assignment to go and attend the meeting. Well, it already happened, right? It has to happen before the war, because Jesus gets all authority, all Lucifer's kingdom keys are given to him by Lucifer. In the book, what do you think this is all about? What do you refer that to? It shocked me. Hey, what? What did he say? Lucifer gives Jesus the keys. So, Lucifer's the head of the church? What? What? And he's giving him government keys, not the church's keys? What? But yeah, this is Mormons on the whole. Oh, we've been left behind, if you know those Christian movie series. Yeah, that's the whole point, is to make Mormons speculate rather than come out and say, yeah, Adam-on-Diamond's already happened, now's the war, it's the latter days, here we go. You can't have the war unless Adam-on-Diamond has already taken place, which means it already took place, which means they kept it a sacred secret from us. They're not allowed to do that. Amos 3:7. You gotta reveal it. We're having the meeting. We're going back to Missouri. And we're not supposed to go back to Missouri. That's the thing. If you do not figure out who the Mormon is that you're supposed to hearken to for safety, refuge, and peace, what are you going to do when things happen and there's no communication from the prophets? You know, internet goes down. We don't have access to hear the word of the Lord from his prophet as to what to do. What do you do at that point? Do you know what to do? And you don't, do you? Because the news won't be available. Nothing. We're on our own if it gets that bad. If we see war in our streets, not just gang war, war, like they do in the countries that we go pick fights in, that Ukraine is about to experience, that World War II experienced. When we see it in our land, in our neighborhoods, where we have to duck and cover just to get to the grocery store, will you know what to do to stay safe? Do you even know the scripture, or is it coming to your mind? Oh, if you don't make it to Zion, you'll have to fight for survival. Yeah, well, there's no Zion, because it's not Utah. It's not a place of safety, refuge, and peace, is it? It's not built. So will you know what to do? Because you've not searched for the true prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. This is why I keep doing my videos, to try to save your lives. Will you know what to do? Or will you be lost and not know what to do? And that's what I worry about. That you spend too much time disagreeing with me and arguing and fighting and getting angry and committing crimes against me. That you're losing track of the bigger picture that's going on. Exodus 38 is upon us. The church knows about it. It was Bruce R. McConkie who put it there in the chapter heading for the 1978 version. That's how I know that. I was a part of the second wave. So I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to harm you. That's Nelson's job. And he's doing a damn good job of doing it to you.